The death of George Floyd and the outrage it ignited may be hard to explain to young children, but there is a good place for parents to start, and that's a kid's book about racism. It tackles a tough topic and helps parents really begin that conversation that will continue well into their adult lives. It's called A Kid's Book About Racism, and joining me now is the author of that book, Jelani Memory. So Jelani, good morning to you. I know you woke up early for us. You're over in the West Coast. You're in Portland, Oregon, so I do appreciate the time. I want to begin with, in the commercial break, you told me you wrote the book in 2018. So unfortunately, these things could have been written in the past, and they could be written in the future. So what are your thoughts overall about this book and its time, its place in our current time?
I think I share the sentiments and the feelings of a lot of folks that, yeah, this book could have existed a long time ago, and it's sad that it needs to exist today, but it does need to exist today. So I wrote that book back in 2018 for my own children. I've got 4 white kids and 2 brown kids, and I wanted to make sure that conversation kept going with them on racism, culture, color, and race. And it was a way for me to start that conversation. And I found that parents all over the country now are using that book as a way to wade into an uncomfortable topic, which is racism.
Well, that's a very interesting point you bring up there, right? So you're a father of 6, and you mentioned how you have white and black children. So how did you explain it to both sides there, right? Because for some, I was talking to one of my friends. She's a mother of a 4-year-old, and for white parents, sometimes it's difficult for them to understand themselves, let alone explain it to their children.
Yeah, I'm in this really unique position where I get to teach both sides of the fence, and that education looks slightly different for sure. And yet I noticed the starting place actually isn't so different. I started that conversation with my little one, Ella, at a very young age. We started having that conversation around 3 and 4 because her own skin color was becoming aware to her, and of course aware to the kids around her. And then for my white kids, it was about sort of gently starting into that conversation and helping them understand the context around it. And I really look at this book as a way to start the conversation, not to end the conversation. I think there's so many conversations that have to happen after that. And I actually don't think my book is the only way. So I would recommend to parents, find a way to start the conversation, not to say everything all at once.
And you're saying a 4 years old is the appropriate age to do so, you think?
Yeah, it depends. For kids of color, that conversation is going to start very, very early. It has to. For white kids, I don't know what too early is, but our books are designed for 5 to 9-year-olds to kind of start in that conversation around that.
So kids sometimes don't necessarily understand race, color, right? So, for my friend who was talking to her 4-year-old, she was bringing up very basic questions about hair color, eye color, skin color. What about this book makes it so easy for children to actually grasp the concept of what you're trying to teach?
Yeah, it basically takes those things, especially for white parents, that they don't talk about, and it gives kids permission to finally ask questions about them and to talk about them and to notice that not everybody's skin color is the same. And that's okay to notice that. It's what you do with that information. So the book really equips kids with a little bit of language around that, and then starts to help them understand the experience of people of color, those with black and brown skin, is actually different than those who have different skin color. And again, a way to start in that conversation for them to have a word for it when there's discrimination or prejudice against a person of color, that's called racism, and that they should use that word for that.
So you didn't just write this book, Jelani. You also co-founded the company Kids Book About. So tell me a little bit about the mission behind this company as well.
So it started with that book for my own kids, and it was never supposed to go beyond that, but I was encouraged by friends to do more. So not only did I decide to get my book published, but I formed a company around it. And so we have 19 books out, all on challenging, empowering, and important topics. And our goal and our mission is to continue to tackle topics around mental health, around death, around social issues, to help parents and grown-ups start that conversation early for the 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9-year-olds in their lives.
Right. All important topics that are tough to talk about. Real quick, where can people get these books if they want to pre-order?
They can get them at kidsbookabout.com.
Okay, Jelani, I appreciate your time this morning, and you're welcome back on this show anytime. I think you have a lot of good insight that for parents out there about these topics. So, I know it's early for you over there in Portland, but you're welcome back anytime, okay?
Thank you. It was wonderful being on.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Jelani. Appreciate your time this morning.